Hi, my name is Corey Bush, and I am a trained internal family systems therapist, or IFS therapist. And we're going to do a guided meditation today using the IFS model to help you to get to know a part of you. And so we can locate a part just by focusing on any thought or feeling or behavior that comes up in our lives that we'd like to bring some attention to. And so a couple things to note before we start. One is that it usually helps to start with a part that has just medium or low intensity, maybe not starting with a part that's really high intensity. It can just be a little bit harder to start with that. And the other thing is just knowing that the goal of this meditation is not to try to change the part or to make it go away, but the goal of the meditation really is just to get to know it from a place of openness and curiosity, not trying to change it or make it go away, but just openness. And so we'll start. So I'll invite you to close your eyes or cast your gaze downward. Bring your attention inside. Just take a moment to notice a thought or a feeling or a behavior that frequently comes up for you. And once you have something in mind, just notice when this comes up for you, when this part gets activated. What do you notice in or around your body? And then, when you're able to notice what body sensations come in with this part, then just ask, how do I feel toward this part of me that brings these body sensations? And just notice, do I feel frustrated with this part of me? Do I feel angry with it or scared of it? Do I want it to go away or stop what it's doing? And if you feel any of those things, that's normal. It's really common. And what we can do then is we can ask those feelings, the frustration or the scared or the wanting it to go away, ask it if that would be willing to give you a little bit of space so that you can get to know this other part of you that you'd like to focus on for today. So just quietly, in the voice of your mind, ask that question toward the frustration or the fear or the annoyance. Would you be willing to give me a little space to just sit next to me for a few minutes while I get to know this part of me? And you might notice a shift then in that feeling. The frustration or the annoyance or the fear just calms down a little bit, opening up a little space for you. Or you might not notice a shift. It might not calm down. In which case, then you might ask the following questions to that part instead, the frustration or the annoyance. But if it does calm down for you, if it does shift, and you notice just a little bit less frustration or annoyance, then you might notice a different feeling. You can ask yourself again, now how do I feel toward this part of me that I'd like to bring some attention to? And you might notice, I feel a little more open to it. I'd like to get to know it better. In kind of a vague way, I'd like to help it. You might not notice that, and that would be okay too. But if you do, then you can go on and you can ask the part that you'd like to focus on this question. And so ask, what is it that you'd like me to know about you and about what you're doing for me? And so I'll repeat that. So just quietly in the voice of your mind, ask this part of you, what is it that you'd like me to know about you and about what you're doing? And don't try to think of the answer. Just quietly wait for a response. And so you might notice a response from this part. It might tell you about what it's doing and about how it's trying to help you or to protect you in some way. You might not notice a response too, and that would be okay too. But if you do notice a response, just see if you can answer the response just with a sense of understanding and just saying, I get that. That makes sense to me. You're trying to help me. You're trying to protect me. That this feels really important to you. Then you can ask it if it can tell you anything else about what it's trying to do for you and why that's so important to it. Again, not trying to think of the answer, but just waiting for a response. And if you do notice a response, again, just responding from your core self, your core being, you can say, I get that, I understand. It makes sense to me, this seems really important to you, and you're working really hard to try to help me in this way or to try to protect me. And once you really feel like you get it, you may need to pause the meditation for a few minutes to ask the part to tell you more. Once you feel like you really get it, then you can invite the part to tell you what is it afraid would happen if it didn't do that. If it didn't do what it does, if it didn't do its job, what is it worried would happen? And wait for a response. And then, when the part tells you that it's doing this job because it's scared, something really bad will happen, or that you might be overwhelmed with some other feeling if it didn't do this job, then you might be able to respond with appreciation, just letting it know that you get that and you really appreciate how hard it's worked trying to protect you. And you could invite it, not forcing it or pressuring it, just inviting it, that if it's willing, that maybe in the future that you could help it with this job, or you could be there with it while it does this job, so that it doesn't have to do it by itself, and maybe it doesn't have to do it in such an extreme way. It might not be ready for that, and that would be fine, but you can just invite it. And then we'll just thank the part for talking with you. And if it makes sense to you, you can commit to talking with this part again in the future, using this same meditation to just check in with this part on a regular basis, or any other parts that come up in your life. It can be helpful to do it every morning or every evening before bed. That way, just building up a relationship with these parts can help them that their behaviors can be less extreme, or their thoughts or their feelings can be less extreme. So we'll close the meditation there, and just a few notes now that we're closing the meditation. One is that if at any time any of these parts get really intense and feel overwhelming, then you can go to the website of the IFS Institute. Just Google IFS Institute Therapy Directory, and you'll find a list of IFS therapists in your location that could help you with this part. And also, if this meditation feels like it just didn't work for you or you weren't able to focus, that's okay too. That's actually really common. And it doesn't mean that you're bad at this or that you can't do this. There's many times where it's hard for me to focus on parts, or where I listen to a meditation and it doesn't sink in, or for whatever reason I'm not able to do the meditation. That's okay. That's really common. And again, an IFS therapist on the IFS Institute website, on their therapist directory, could likely help you in a way that maybe this meditation can't. Thank you.